Okay, so what if being a public company wasn't just, an expense, but your actual secret weapon? Today, we're going to dig into DBMM Group, a company that just dropped some big news. A major win that suggests their bold pivot into AI consulting is really starting to pay off. So, let's break down how they're turning what's normally a corporate burden into a real competitive edge.
Look, every company out there is searching for that competitive edge, right? But DBMM Group, well, they think they found one in a super unusual place. And it all really comes down to this one fascinating question.
And this is the whole puzzle right here. See, for most companies, being public it's an overhead cost. It's something you have to do to get access to capital markets, kind of a necessary evil. But DBMM's management looked at that and said, wait a minute, what if we could turn that cost center into a profit center? Now that is a bold move, and to really get why it's so powerful, we've got to look at the problem they were trying to solve in the first place.
So before this whole transformation, DBMM was in a pretty tough spot. They were kind of stuck, stuck in a really crowded and super challenging market.
Yeah, this quote from the COO, Reggie James, it just paints such a clear picture. He said they were competing on price for commodity services. Basically, they were trapped in that classic race to the bottom. You know, the one where you're not competing on value, you're just competing on who can be the cheapest because what you're selling looks just like what everyone else is selling. Management saw that, and they knew. They knew it was a dead end, so they made a very deliberate choice to get out.
And so they executed a major pivot. And I mean, this wasn't just some minor course correction. No, this was a fundamental reinvention of the company's entire identity, a complete teardown and rebuild.
Their strategy really had three core parts. First, they got out of that low-margin commodity work completely. Second, they rebuilt the company from the ground up to be a strategic consultancy, and they aimed it right at high-growth areas, landing squarely on AI. And third, and this is the real linchpin here, they started to actively weaponize their status as a public company, turning it into a unique advantage for their clients.
I mean, just look at the difference. The transformation is it's stark. They went from struggling with commodity work to leading with strategic AI consulting. Instead of fighting over price, they're now competing on what they can actually do, their unique capabilities. But of course, the big question is this new model actually working?
Well, the company just gave us a major piece of evidence that it is. The theory is officially being put into practice, and guess what? It's winning clients. And this first big piece of proof comes from a new partnership with a company called Xamun. So DBMM's subsidiary, a group called Digital Clarity, just landed a huge go-to-market partnership with Xamun. Now, Xamun is an enterprise AI software platform. They're already a big deal in Asia, and now they're making a massive push into Europe and North America. And this is exactly the kind of high-growth, cutting-edge tech client that DBMM was aiming for with their new strategy. So why did a company like Xamun choose them? Well, after looking at all their options, it came down to this really unique combination. Sure, DBMM's team had great go-to-market plans and top-level strategic thinking, but the real kicker, the true differentiator, was that direct access to U.S. capital markets through DBMM's public structure. Think about it. For a company like Xamun, coming from overseas and trying to expand fast, that is an absolute game changer. It means faster access to funding and a huge boost in credibility. That's the pivot in action. They're offering something their competitors simply can't.
And you've got to understand, this isn't just another client win. Not at all. For the company, and especially for investors who are following the story, this moment, it represents something so much bigger.
This win really represents a potential inflection point for the company. What does that mean? It's that moment where a strategy stops being just a plan on a whiteboard, just an idea, and starts delivering real, tangible results that can actually move the needle. And like the COO Reggie James says, this partnership is that early, tangible proof that the transformation is real. It's the signal before all the noise. It's that concrete result that pops up before the rest of the market has really caught on and priced that success into the stock. So the key takeaway from this whole announcement is crystal clear. The pivot to high-value AI consulting, it's not just a plan anymore. It is a functioning, working model that is out there winning real business right now.
And it sounds like this is just the beginning. The company has been pretty clear that this announcement is just the first domino to fall. It's step one in a whole series of updates they've planned to show that this momentum is going to continue.
In fact, DBMM has laid out a pretty clear roadmap for what's coming next. So this partnership announcement, that's just step one. They've told us that deeper insights are on the way, so think case studies, financials, that kind of thing. And the ultimate goal here is to go from this first success story to doing it again and again and again with a whole pipeline of new clients. Basically, they're not just hoping for success, they're building a whole story of sustained momentum.
So this whole thing leaves us with a final and I think really powerful question. We're in the middle of this AI gold rush, right? You've got countless platforms all scrambling for two things, funding and market access. So, how valuable is a partner that can offer both? DBMM has planted its flag right at that intersection, and they're basically asking the market a simple question. Have we just become the new kingmaker? And believe me, that's what everyone is going to be watching.